Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The silver light shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. After yesterday's episode, I realized it would be a good idea to really examine what woke means. Because it's a word that's being thrown around all the time. That statue is supposedly a quote woke end statue, even though it's being put on by people of a given religion and they're doing it for their enjoyment. Um, People are saying, oh, there's this woke commentary in movies and in television and in radio. So, what does woke really mean? Well, it's kind of the next level of insult for leftists. Because we live in a Western, educated, industrialized, rich, democratic society, most of us, please note, most of us have moved beyond the idea of, you know, blacks belong in one neighborhood, Asians belong in another neighborhood, whites belong in another neighborhood. Hell, back in the 50s, my grandfather was fighting against that when they were saying, why are you serving black people in your business? And he said, what's the color of their money? And that's something I've always tried to live my life with. So even in the 50s, there were elements of wokeism, as it is sometimes called. Now I admit, there are definitely tendencies to think that just by slapping a coat of paint on a piece of art that it makes it better. And I would agree that this is not the case. Snow White is probably not going to get better just because you change the race of the actor and actress. Now, I will also admit the the first kiss of true love bringing her back from her coma, yeah, that's uncomfortable. I admit that. I'm looking at my little girls and thinking, I don't want them waiting around for somebody to kiss them on the lips just in the hopes that that's going to make their life better. At the same token, Mulan, the cartoon, she was working harder than everybody else. She was making her life better through hard work. Whereas the live action one, she's just naturally more talented than everybody. And I think we do need to recognize the value of hard work. That part of so-called woke TV and movies and literature, I do not enjoy. That being said, woke is a pejorative term for the most part because we can't go out, nor would I want to, and say, oh, this person doesn't deserve X, Y, or Z, whatever it might be, simply because the color of their skin, their background, their religion, whatever it is. But I can call them political names. Political names are still available as insults. I can't call somebody, pick pick your average insult here. But I can call them a no good commie liberal, a no good redneck right winger. These are acceptable. And so a lot of the things being thrown against woke people are actually things most people want. Now, ultimately, I have no problem with a lot of these quote woke end quote ideals because the market will ultimately tell the difference. It's going to decide what is of interest and what will not be of interest. And Disney's experiencing that when Bob Iger came in and had to remind his own creative team, we're here first to entertain, and secondly, if possible, to put a message in. What Bob Iger meant to say is we're here first to make money. And we do that by, secondly, entertaining people. And then if we can shove a medical message in there, that's third. But Bob Iger is a smart enough CEO, he would never do that. And that's the way it should be. I really have no problem with the best actor or actress getting the job. I've mentioned this before, but in my experience, for the people that try out for local theater to get experience for acting and the people in the drama classes tend to be, how am I going to say this? They do skew more towards white people. And there's a reason that, you know, black people feel more comfortable performing. Indian people are starting to get into it, but you don't get a whole lot of like Chinese and Japanese. They exist absolutely, but they're not coming up through the feeder system. It's like a sports team, hockey. Still mostly white guys playing that sport. There are some spectacular racial minorities in there, but it's still mostly, white kids that are starting to learn to skate, starting to learn how to handle a puck, all that sort of thing. Acting is the same way. There are absolutely minority actors. And I always find it interesting how Bollywood actors don't come to the United States or Canada to find jobs. They're happy in their home country. You get a few Japanese and Chinese like Jet Li, and I can't remember all of them at the present time. But they're not interested because they can, Bruce Lee, they're really not interested because they get better opportunities at their home. They become household names at their homes. So why come over here, put up with the drama? And it's easy to look at the drama. Look at the divorce rate amongst people in the entertainment industry. It's almost double or triple, depending on the study that you believe, as compared to normal people that are not in the entertainment industry. That's not wokeism, that's fact. So is it a woke thing to get rid of an actor? Well, let's look at Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors had his ticket punched. Ooh, considering what he did, I probably should not put those words together. But he had it almost made. They were going to make multiple movies starring him. He had a contract. He just had to play the role out. And to Disney's credit, they didn't terminate him the first second they heard of anything wrong, like they did with Johnny Depp. Jonathan Majors, they let him sink or swim. They said, let trial decide what's happening. We'll react from there. And now it looks like they're not going to have their actor for Kang. And I'm sure he signed up for other projects with Disney too, because Disney tends to take care of its own. And yeah, that's what happened. But they at least gave him the chance. They let him have his day in court. And since it sadly did not work out, well, it didn't work out for him. Let's just leave it at that. So, what about that is woke? Giving a man his due diligence. It's not. Admittedly, they realized their mistake after how quickly they pulled the trigger on Johnny Depp. But Johnny Depp is not exactly an angel. It ain't his first encounter. Jonathan Majors, don't know how much Disney actually knew about him. But you see, that's not wokeism. That's following the letter of the law. You are innocent until proven guilty. So what is wokeism? People always like to point to those people screaming in the streets and, becoming activists for their cause. But you know what? That's not wokeism because right-wingers do it as well. I hate to mention January 6th, but that was a lot of right-wingers. Most of them were intending to protest. I'm sure most of them did not have the intention to break into the White House. Some of them may have changed their minds partway through, but their original intention was just we're going to go, we're going to protest, we're going to make our voices heard, and I don't have a problem with that. No problem at all. Does that mean they're woke? Because that's what they accuse the liberals of being. We're all woke. We're all controlled by whatever news broadcast they think that we're controlled by. And yes, there's absolutely an agenda in news. You can't tell me there isn't. During this Israel-Hamas war, because it's not against the Palestinians, it's Hamas. But they keep telling you it's against the Palestinians, even though the West Bank has not been affected. And also, they never show you. Remember the first attack where Hamas came in and killed 1,200 Israelis? They showed you almost no footage of that. And after that, they're happy to show Israeli airstrikes, but they don't show Hamas continuing to fire their rounds and, Israel defending itself with the Iron Dome and some other technologies that we probably don't know about all of them yet. But it's interesting in a war how they only show one side. In Vietnam, they were very happy to show what the Vietnamese were going through. And that's because if it bleeds, it leads. It's an old saying, but it's a bloody valid one. And unfortunately, because of the mistakes of their leaders, the average Palestinian is bleeding. Now, is that woke for me to say? Nope. It's the truth. I am pro-Israeli and I am pro-Palestinian. There's a lot of people who immediately scream, you can't do both. Why not? Don't like my own government very much at the present, and I don't like the future for it, looking at the polls at present. But that doesn't mean I am against the people of my country. I want these Palestinian people to realize how much they've been lied to over the past 20 years. Remember, Hamas, they were elected in, and then they immediately did away with elections. So the only way you're going to make change in there is, unfortunately, by getting rid of Hamas. And then the Palestinian people can start to realize, hey, we opened the books and they had money to build these bomb shelters at $2 million a piece for them and their leaders. Oh, and their leaders get salaries of, $5 million a piece, and they're offshore in Saudi Arabia or wherever it is that they decide to vacation on their $1 million yachts while they're telling us to, hold at all costs. Is this woke of me? No, it's the damn truth. But there's some people that would call me woke. There's some people that would call me a right-wing fascist. I'm neither. But it's a political label. So next time you see something on television and you decide, hey, that's woke, try to look beyond it. This truth is always there. You just have to be able to look at more than one source. I don't like the way some people protest, but you know what? It ain't my protest. So I could care less. And ultimately, calling people political names is just a substitute for calling them racial names. So I can call somebody a left-winger, a liberal, and that sort of stuff. But if I call them anything based on their racial history, yeah, I get in trouble. So literally the people employing this terminology are the exact same ones who are trying to hide their own issues. Let's work towards the future where people can live in peace and we can get rid of some of this nonsense left over from God knows when. With that, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to click the notification bell down on the bottom right column, and we hope you have a fantastic day.